mysterious death of a 16-year-old boy. His body was found on the railway tracks. According to the police version, the boy committed suicide. But what really happened? Don't miss out. The victim's spirit will reveal the chilling truth. You're watching Psychic Investigations, a channel of exclusively true and astonishing stories. People who call themselves clairvoyants investigate incredible mystical anomalies and high-profile criminal cases. March, a small Ukrainian town. A 16-year-old boy was struck by a train a kilometer away from the railway station. The tragedy occurred around 9 p.m.
Once the driver of the diesel train saw someone on the tracks, he initiated an emergency brake.
The victim, Pavlo Potapchuk, lived in a village 30 kilometers from the town. He studied at an agricultural lyceum and commuted daily by train. How he ended up on the tracks so far from the station remains a mystery.
It's so hard without you. This wound will never heal.
According to the police, 16-year-old Pavlo ended up under the train of his own will, and it was suicide. But why would a young boy take such a terrifying step? For his family and loved ones, this remains the most painful and pressing question.
Why would Pavlo even consider suicide?
It makes no sense. He was joyful.
Maybe there were personal reasons. No one knows.
Psychics Ilona Kaldre and Serhiy Kolesnichenko agreed to investigate the case.
I don't see anyone pushing him under the train. However, neither do I, since it was suicide. I can't tell what it was yet.
While the psychics are on their way to meet the victim's family, our detective conducts his own investigation.
There's a pedestrian path from the station to the site of the collision. According to the police, that's how Pavlo reached the place where he died. But if he truly intended to end his life by jumping in front of a train, why walk so far from the station?
The death of the 16-year-old boy shocked everyone who knew him. That's why the entire village came to meet the psychics.
I'm here to learn the truth.
The Potapchuk family is large. This woman is a heroic mother. It's hard to imagine, but in these difficult times, she managed to raise 9 children, 5 boys and 4 girls. For the past 7 years, she's done it alone, without her husband.
My husband died.
Most of the children have grown up and settled all over Ukraine. But to meet the psychics and learn the truth about their brother's death, the family came together again.
I'd like the psychics to uncover the truth.
We're hoping they'll tell us how and why he died.
Hello.
Hello. We're so grateful you came.
Shall we go into the yard?
Of course.
During the investigation, Pavlo's older brother, Mikhailo, chose to stay close to their mother. Since Pavlo's death, her health has deteriorated sharply, and she may need help at any moment.
I wouldn't mind going to the grave now. I have no strength left. This is the yard where he lived with us.
Do you mind if I walk around there?
Let me have a look around the house and hold his belongings. So lively, always smiling and joking. He was the center of attention, a pretty popular guy.
The soul of the group. He was tall and slender. Girls liked him.
Cheerful and sociable, Pavlo was a true people's person and admired by girls. Did he really have a reason to take his own life?
A tragedy, maybe? The loss of someone very close.
His father's death.
Before that, he was a carefree boy. Afterward, he became a man.
As a true man after his father's death, Pavlo took on the role of head of the family. What could have made him abandon his loved ones, especially since nothing seemed amiss? On the day of his death, he was preparing for school as usual.
I didn't notice anything unusual that morning. He had breakfast, thanked me, and then hurried to catch the bus.
Pavlo usually returned home by 6 in the evening. If he was ever delayed, he'd call to let them know.
I first called him at 7:30 p.m., but no one answered. I tried again at 7:40, but his phone was out of range.
Worried, the family spent the evening calling Pavlo repeatedly. His phone was out of range. Only around 10 p.m. did someone finally answer.
I asked where Pavlo was. A stranger's voice said he was lying dead.
The person speaking to Pavlo's brother was a police officer. By then, they had already conducted a preliminary examination of the body, found the phone in his jacket, turned it on, and answered the call. That's how the family learned of Pavlo's death.
Something with the head?
Yes, there was an injury near the temple.
Death was caused by an open cranial trauma from a blunt object, possibly from the snowplow blade.
A snowplow is a device mounted on the front of a locomotive, designed to clear snow and debris from the tracks.
And another detail, a broken jaw or missing teeth.
The forensic examination revealed the following injuries: open cranial trauma, fractures of the skull vault and base with destruction of brain tissue, brain contusion, bilateral lower jaw fracture, lung contusion, head contusions, and abrasions on the head and torso.
When someone throws themselves under a train, the body typically suffers distinctive injuries and is often mutilated beyond recognition. But in Pavlo Potapchuk's case, the injury pattern is different, which is unusual.
He didn't die immediately. He lived for a while, didn't he?
They reported that they were transporting someone by their train and asked for an ambulance, as the victim was still showing signs of life. When the train arrived at the station, the paramedic confirmed the death.
So, Pavlo didn't die instantly. But how did he survive the impact? Statistically, people struck by trains die instantly in nearly 100% of cases.
It feels like he was thrown aside.
According to the driver, the train was moving slowly. It didn't run over him, but just knocked him off the tracks.
I'm not sure that it was suicide.
There were absolutely no causes for him to take his own life.
Incredibly, without consulting each other, both psychics reached the same conclusion. Pavlo couldn't have taken his own life.
He was always smiling and full of energy. A boy like that couldn't have committed suicide.
But if he wasn't suicidal, how did he die? And how did he end up on the tracks a kilometer away from the railway station?
We can perform a ritual. I'll need a photo of it. I can make a small doll and channel part of his soul into it. It'll help me see him and communicate with him.
So he can give us a sign of what to do next.
When I made the doll, I couldn't sense him here. That means he's not bound to this place. Suicides are usually stuck between worlds. They're not allowed into heaven or hell, but he's not bound. The fact that I couldn't reach Pavlo suggests this wasn't suicide. What if we go to the place where he was found? We could probably read something from there.
The psychics are at the scene. The conditions are harsh, 40 degrees centigrade, and it's hard to concentrate with trains constantly passing.
The position was strange. He was lying on his side, his head.
The body was beside the tracks, but the head was on the rail.
The train driver said the head was on the rail.
He's lying on the rail. He's alive.
Does it mean he didn't jump in front of the train but lay down on the track and calmly waited for death?
Nobody mentally stable could lie on the tracks and wait for a train. Not even someone with iron willpower.
He doesn't see the train coming. He doesn't hear it. He doesn't feel it.
What does this mean? Was Pavlo unconscious? To find out, we contacted the train driver who struck the boy.
I sounded the horn. Anyone would jump at that sound, but he didn't move.
Pavlo was in some kind of unconscious state.
Loss of consciousness can result from a sudden health issue, intoxication, or trauma.
Pavlo was young and healthy. According to the case files, he drank a bottle of beer. However, that wouldn't have caused unconsciousness.
Most likely, Pavlo was unconscious due to an injury.
Something's missing from his clothing. What was it?
His hat was missing.
At the time of death, he was wearing a black jacket, black pants, a sweater, a t-shirt, and boots. No hat was found.
He left wearing a hat. When the police returned his belongings, I asked, "Where's the hat?" It wasn't there.
But where did the hat go? Could he have simply lost it that day?
Our older brother had a dream after the funeral. Pavlo appeared and said, "Look for my hat where I was killed."
The dream haunted the family. Eventually, they returned to the police and requested a second search of the scene.
The hat appeared much later.
We conducted a second search and found the hat right on the tracks.
That could mean either the hat was missed during the first search, which is unlikely, or it was planted later.
Inside the hat were fragments of soft tissue and small pieces of bone, parts of the skull.
When I met with the train driver, he said, "I saw fair hair. His head wasn't covered."
Fragments of Pavlo's skull and traces of blood were found inside the hat. This can only mean that the cranial trauma that ultimately caused his death was not the result of being struck by the train. Most likely it happened elsewhere, where the hat was initially left to be planted on the tracks later.
He didn't come here on his own. He was brought.
Driven. A vehicle stopped at this spot. Light-colored, likely a domestic make.
There were tire marks on this side. You could see a car had passed through.
But what kind of car was it? And who were those who, according to the psychic, brought Pavlo to the tracks?
I see two young men of around 18 or 19 years old. One is taller, thin, and dark-haired. The other's slightly shorter. They dragged him here.
They wanted to place him in a way that would injure his head. It was staged, a fake suicide.
What I saw earlier on the way to Kiev was confirmed at the scene. I saw the boy alone on the tracks, but didn't sense suicide. It was all a setup. Someone tried to cover up a crime. In reality, Pavlo was murdered. We need to go check the place where he was before this. I'll go to the station.
According to Pavlo's classmates, he was heading home after classes and walked toward the station. Theoretically, the station could be one of the last places he visited that day.
I'd like to go where he was during the day.
The psychic and Pavlo's mother head to the agricultural lyceum.
He was here. He attended classes, a conversation with a woman. I don't know what it was, but he feared it. He didn't want that conversation.
According to the preliminary investigation, Pavlo spoke to the school counselor after classes that day.
He was very upset and trying to defend himself. She was pressuring him, insisting he was wrong. He had many secrets.
What secrets is the psychic referring to? Serhiy Kolesnichenko tries to sense what Pavlo did after school.
When he arrived here, he'd likely missed his train.
Classmates say Pavlo left the school at about 4:30 p.m., the same time his usual train departed. It seems he missed it.
His emotions shifted while he was here. He wanted to pass the time. There was a hint of excitement.
What kind of excitement does the psychic mean?
To kill time. Most likely at a venue with slot machines or maybe a poker club.
He could drop by one. There's a store nearby. At the time, it had slot machines.
He was there that day.
It's unbelievable. Does this mean Pavlo was into gambling and spent the last day of his life playing slots? Or did he end up there by chance?
He played the slots, and he talked about it to a woman here inside the college.
The counselor told me that they spoke, and he said he'd gotten involved with the machines, but wanted to quit. I didn't know he was into those slot machines.
I had no idea. Maybe he was too ashamed to admit it, or afraid someone would tell Mom.
But do the slot machines have anything to do with the boy's death?
He loved dressing well, but didn't have enough money.
He had a scholarship, but it was tiny.
To find out what happened on the last day of the 16-year-old boy's life, Serhiy Kolesnichenko heads to the cafe near the station where slot machines used to be, and where Pavlo was last seen alive.
The slot machines used to be here.
He was here that day.
Yes, he was. He got a hot dog and a bottle of beer.
He sat down and started playing. What I don't understand is that he never had much money. He was a student.
Maybe he could have some 100 hryvnias.
At that moment, he had more than 100 hryvnias.
It wasn't his money. He tried to invest it, like in a lottery or something similar.
There's a cafe nearby at the station where there were slot machines. People saw him there.
Let's go there.
Without delay, Ilona Kaldra heads for the cafe.
He missed his train. I don't understand why.
He was held up.
I sense he sat at the machines and even won some money.
He won 70 hryvnias.
Then the situation changed quickly. I see two young men enter. Pavlo's mood shifts. He becomes subdued.
He recognizes them.
Most likely, he owed them money. And now he had cash. The money he had borrowed, plus his winnings.
They saw it. They reminded him of the debt, which was quite old.
Mikhailo, before this happened, had your brother ever mentioned having problems? Debts or anything like that?
No.
Still, I believe he owed someone money. And it was likely related to gambling.
There were rumors that he borrowed a lot of money. He was into those slot machines.
It was shortly before it happened. He came to me and said he might be in trouble and asked if I could help him. He didn't give any details, though.
But if Pavlo really had debts, who were the people he owed? And who did he meet at the cafe on the last day of his life?
The conversation got heated. Eventually, they asked him to step outside.
The car was waiting. They pushed him in, and he said, "Sure, no problem, let's go."
They took him out to a forest or some wooded area to scare him. They didn't intend to kill him, just intimidate.
But he resisted, and they got agitated.
He started arguing.
They kicked him in the face, hard. I see him shielding his head, and they're kicking it. Forgive me.
The scene described by the clairvoyant was too horrific for Pavlo's mother. Overcome with grief, she nearly fainted. As such, she chose to watch from the van window.
The final blow caused the cranial trauma I described, a puncture wound about this size. It was likely caused by a crowbar.
According to the forensic report, the fatal injuries were caused by a blunt object. It could possibly be a wrench or crowbar.
They just wanted to scare him, but went too far.
Pavlo had only 7 hryvnias in his pocket. He should have had 170. It's likely that the killers stole the money.
They loaded him back into the car.
And drove him closer to the railway. In the process, his hat fell off and stayed in the car.
It's possible the hat remained in the car when his body was moved from the murder site to the tracks. Later, the killers found it and planted it at the scene where Pavlo was found to back up the suicide theory.
The killers were locals, and they're gamblers themselves. They met Pavlo at the slot machines. There were 3 of them. 2 were around 20 years old, and the third was nearly 40 and had a criminal record. He was the one who suggested taking Pavlo to the woods to scare him.
I'm deeply grateful to the psychics.
They found the truth. It wasn't suicide. He was murdered. We'll do everything we can to find the bastards so they pay for what they did. They won't hide.